I actually get on a phone call with every single woman who wants to get into my coaching program to make sure that they're a good fit. And I always ask them, what is your biggest challenge right now? What are you dealing with? And one of the top stories that I hear from these women I'm getting on the phone with is a story of a great relationship. Things are going well for a month, 2 months, and then all of a sudden, slowly over time, maybe in the first few weeks or the first year, a guy starts pulling away when it comes time to commit. And this is something I hear over and over and over again. And the frustrating part is once they get to this point where the guy starts pulling away, they've already typically slept together. There's such a big time and emotional investment into this person. And oftentimes, when he's pulling away, he'll make excuses up, which the women that I'm talking to are so caring and loving towards this guy that they actually will buy into some of these excuses as being okay. And so they end up getting in these kind of relationships where they're almost chasing a guy. And I'm just thinking to myself, wait, what? What are you doing? You are this amazing woman. You've got an incredible career. You've got people who love you. Why are you investing time in this guy who is not even returning your calls? Like, that doesn't make sense. I think that there's like one simple fundamental understanding about long-term commitment that once you understand this truth, it makes it really easy to figure out what a guy wants, whether he's looking for a long-term commitment or just a short-term hookup. And so that's what I want to go through, and I'm going to teach you in this video one specific question that you can ask a man to determine what he's looking for. Now, before I tell you that question, I want to actually show you how men can make a decision to commit in a relationship versus making the decision to pull away and avoid a relationship. So I had a client a few years ago when I used to coach men as well as women, and he would get in these relationships for anywhere from 6 to 12 months. Things would be going great. They would spend more and more time, and then all of a sudden, there would be a moment where it was time for them to really commit or take an action together that would feel like more commitment, and he would freak out. And that would look like him starting to slowly pull away. And he pulled away to the point where he would break up with them. And then he'd be totally regretful. He was afraid. He went to a therapist who told him that he had an anxiety disorder. And when he came to me, he just sounded like a normal guy who's freaked out about the idea of commitment because it can be scary. So here's what I had him do. I just had him do one exercise. I had him ask, what do I really want? Like, where do I want to be in 30 years? I had him think about that vision. And then I had him elaborate and to actually spend time during the week visualizing what that would look and feel like. A week later, we got on a phone call and he told me about this vision he had where he was a grandfather and he was in his backyard surrounded by his children and his grandchildren, and they were barbecuing, and it just sounded so nice and so wholesome. And while we were still working together, he actually reached out to a woman who he had dated very briefly before, and they're now married today. And when I asked him, I said, what was the real differentiator? Like, what was the turning point for you? And he said, at the end of the day, we were just aligned. We had the same vision for our life. And what he did is he actually plugged himself into this visualization, and he plugged her into the visualization. And this dream, this vivid dream that he had, she was the perfect fit. It was just right, and it made it so easy. And one of the biggest challenges is when you both have different visions for the future, it's never going to fit. And no matter how hard you try to push the relationship forward, it's never going to fit. And this is what's so frustrating for me. This is so true. I mean, this is like a fundamental truth. Just like you getting in a car, you're not going to end up where you want to go unless you have a destination written out. That's it. If you don't have a destination, you're never going to get there. You get to where you're going by design or by default. And if you're not thinking about your relationship by design, you end up in a relationship by default that may not be at all, not even remotely close to what you want. So what's so frustrating for me is when I hear people tell me that they've been dating someone in a relationship for months or years, and nothing's moving. And I said, well, what does moving mean? Where are you really going? And they say to me, well, marriage. I say, well, what does that mean? What is marriage? What is partnership? What is lifelong happiness? And all of a sudden, they realize, wait, I haven't really asked myself that question. Does that mean, like, where am I living? What does my day-to-day look like? What does it mean to have a partner? And when you start breaking things down and becoming more clear and intentional, all of a sudden then, oh my gosh, my partner's like a horrible choice. Or, there's really just this one point that is blocking us, that we're not aligned on. Maybe we should spend a little bit of time seeing where we can compromise on that point. And all of a sudden, you have a roadmap. You have a roadmap to a real healthy relationship. And without that roadmap, you're just coasting to I don't know where, to wherever your emotions lead you or to whatever challenges are inevitably going to come up. So I'm going to tell you this question that you can ask a man to determine what he's looking for in just a minute. I just want to share with you why I think this is so important. I truly believe this. How we do anything is how we do everything. And in life, if we don't become aware in the moment and become more intentional and thoughtful, and instead of complaining about a problem, if we really think about it and address it, it takes mental energy. It takes thought and focus and creativity and ingenuity and a willingness and a commitment to resolve the problem. And that, within that commitment and within that proactivity, is where the foundation of healthy relationships really stem. And you can look for the quick fix. You can try to find a matchmaker to introduce you. You can try to go to a singles event to meet someone, but until you become more intentional in your relationships and in your day-to-day, moment-to-moment interaction, where am I going? How am I getting there? Who am I going there with? Why is it important that I'm going there? Asking myself these questions are so important. This channel is called Attract Great Guys, okay? And the reason I called it Attract Great Guys is, to me, great is different for everyone, but this channel specifically is about attracting what I call high-quality, commitment-minded men. Men who are looking for a monogamous, lifelong, committed relationship to one woman. That's what this channel is all about. And in my mind, if you meet a man who has no vision, no clarity, no idea where he is going in life, what he wants out of a relationship, if he's never even considered it, then the idea that he really wants a long-term relationship or a commitment is a little ridiculous to me. How can you want something that you've never actually put any thought or consideration into? And if that's actually true, if he really does want something that he's never put any thought or consideration into, then what does that say about him? What does that say about his personal leadership abilities? What does that say about his decision-making processes? This is someone who is choosing what is arguably one of the most important decisions of his life: who he's going to spend the rest of his life with, what kind of a personal relationship he's going to invest in for the rest of his life. And if he hasn't put any thought into that and he's just already kind of acting on it and trying to get it done, that's a little bit scary. That's like basically becoming a partner with a loose cannon who's going to be running around the world like a chicken with his head cut off. When I was dating my wife, Kathy, one of the first things that we spoke about within the first few dates, I think even the first couple dates, is what are you looking for? Where do you want to be in 20 or 30 years? That's the question. This is in my mind, the most important question. Where do you want to be in 10, 20, 30 years? What does that look like? Where are you heading? Because that's going to tell me right off the bat if we're aligned. Now, I've said this before, and I'll say this again: what someone says is not 100% of the ballgame, right? What they do is more important. So if they say this is where they want to go, then all you're doing is looking for, well, are these the actions they're taking? Like, is this consistent? So with my wife, we were both completely aligned, that we wanted to live like a suburban Chicago life, kind of like nerdy life with a family. And we talked about what that would look like. And not that we wanted it with one another, just we were going on a date with each other. We wanted to know what the other person was looking for out of life. I felt like that was really important. And I remember asking, maybe it was a week in or something, if she wanted to have kids and what that looked like. And it was scary to ask that. It felt a little vulnerable, but I wasn't asking her if she wanted to have kids with me. I was just saying, do you want kids? Because I wanted to know. If guys aren't asking these questions, then I just don't get what they're thinking. I just don't get it. I don't understand why you wouldn't want to know this about the woman that you're dating. Each person in the relationship should be curious about where the other person is going and be open to sharing where you want to go and being honest about it. So don't just listen to what the guy says, watch what he does. And at some point in time, if a guy says he's going in one direction, but he's not taking action to get there, then you're not going to be able to change that. You don't have this special power to make a man do or say or be different. So just to recap, I think this is so important. If you want to know if a man is interested in a long-term relationship or a short-term relationship, understand his vision for the future. Ask him questions related to his vision. And if he doesn't talk about a family life, if he doesn't have clarity around that idea or the belief that he's probably going to want or do those things, is, in my opinion and in my experience, it's just a total fantasy. It's not based in any reality. I don't know, if you're in a relationship and you're not sure what's going on and why you haven't been moving forward, why don't you try it? Why don't you actually, why don't you ask him what he's looking for and really see why isn't he taking action towards it? Let me know in the comments section. Are there any questions that you ask that reveal what a man really wants in 20 or 30 years? I'd love to hear how you have asked in the past. Let me know. And if you liked any part of this video, if you can hit the thumbs up button, it would really help me to get this video shared with other people. And if you know someone who could benefit from this video, please send them a link. I would love for this to be seen and shared with more women because I think that this is such an important topic. Again, I'm Jason Silver, the dating coach for ambitious women, and thank you for watching. Be well.